one day at a time. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to a very special series on Inside the Urban Bottom Line. As you all know, that June 16th is Father's Day. We've designated the whole month of June to really focus in on fathers and men as we look at the world today. You know, over the years, the last 22 years, every year I've managed to do something talking about fathers and honoring men, because as I said to you, over the years I've been blessed to have had a father in my life. You know, none of us are perfect, and I've tried over the years to share those testimonies with you. Now they're going to be in the form of a documentary. Hopefully, we're working and talking with people about a movie and a docu-movie, and a couple of books will be coming out of that, I'm sure. And I'm only saying this to you all to let you know that in anything and purpose you do in life, don't sweat or be angry at small beginnings, because there is a purpose in everything. And a lot of times I just didn't know. I'll just keep on going and getting up and falling and getting up and keep going through. And I even have to ask myself, as I look back now and I look forward, but in order to look forward, you've got to look back, not dwell in the past, but also there are good things in the past. You pick the good, the bad, but also your experiences, trials and tribulations are what makes you who you are today. So my point is that we're culminating video footage and making some arrangements and some business connections throughout this land to share the story. This is a very unique story, growing up in the New England corridor and in Springfield, the birthplace of basketball. Some things you've never heard. Many things, if you look at it, this is the birthplace of basketball. However, I found that over the years, the people of color really haven't got a fair amount of exposure on what it's like to live here in New England, the birthplace of basketball, one of the greatest games and dynamics in the world. People love basketball, and we're going to continue to have people from all over the world come here, sports figures, dignitaries. So anyway, let me get to the point. I came out today to open up the series and share this part because I love nature and the creation, see, and I get out here and in the open air where there's no buildings. Well, this is my altar today, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can understand what I'm saying. I'm not in a church and not in a building and the traditional, religious setting, but to me, this is an altar. Anywhere you lay down the truth and can appreciate and talk about the Almighty God, Creator, and yourself and how you relate with others, then you're honoring, and that's the bottom line. This is the culture doctor speaking to you. I'm not preaching to you, I'm only talking. So I love nature as an athlete. I came here again to the park and to be among the trees and the air and open air. It's a wonderful, beautiful day here on the last day of May. And so this park, actually, it's a Blunt Park. Where I've done many different parks that I've in open spaces. I'm told that read that it's going to be part of it named after Ernie Smith. And what a great honor, you know what I mean, to have his name always on, because you know the earth is going to be here with us always. So anyway, and I'm going to read something to you, share something to you. It is so powerful, but I'm going to give it to you from the secret places of the culture, Dr. Samuel R. Bass. The kids, the young people, my family and the young people call me Mufasa. You know, and that's based on The Lion King, something they saw in that movie. That's in the piece too. So let me get busy and say welcome to this series, this national series, international, on fathers and men according to the culture doctor's experience and those that I've interviewed. My story is not your story, and I hope that I have segments and comments from others and that you'll enjoy it. So therefore, men and fathers, let me hook it up. catch this. Whether you be in Africa, in the Caribbean, Amherst, Springfield, Atlanta, New Haven, Hartford, New York, California, Boston, Virginia, North Carolina. These are all places that I know some people, but you know what I'm trying to say. So whoever is viewing this, we welcome you to this special edition and series on fathers. So let me pick up, and you'll notice that. Let me start here. You know, and I've looked at this piece from the man's point of view, and then men, and then their fathers that are very young. And you know, I've talked to you in another segment. You'll hear me talk about the weariness of what we see in our young men today, and fathers and men. So let me make a couple of points here. See, as I said in the other series, men, some of the things that men and fathers, who I think in many cases are not appreciated, and you can see what's going on in the world today with this system of how, that's a very subtle thing, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Let me be frank with you. The whole setup of the welfare system, y'all, I'm not the only one to say it, so hey, these are not my words, you've heard it, that a man as fathers a child, you're going to check in what that's about. But if the woman gets a welfare money from the government, he can't come in the house and take his rightful place as the priest of the home. Government cannot raise your children for you, y'all. But that's a whole nother topic that I'm not getting in today. Men are weary of trying to live up to world standards of manhood, i.e. money, sexual prowess. Hey, come on, culture doctor. Y'all know what I'm saying. Sexuality. To have power over others. You understand what I'm saying? This is deep stuff. You call the culture doctor. Or buy it. Get the DVD. Get the book when I tell you. Go to Amazon.com and I'll tell you when you can go. There's a difference in having authority or responsibility versus power. Maybe the law, physical, emotional power over something or someone. You know, law is a piece of paper. And we all agree that you cannot legislate a person's heart. All right? That's just to drop some wisdom on you. Now, this is my story, but I give God the glory, but so I got to tell you my testimony, so that hopefully that what I say to you, that I'm saying something that will connect with some of you that are watching or listening to this program, this series. I grew weary of always, listen to me, and I think this is one of the issues that affecting, shall we say, the oppressed, generational curses that are on certain cultures. And I'm here to identify, in order to deal with a problem, you've got to have enough courage to identify that problem. You know, cars rolling by, so people wave. I'm like the southern man or woman. I speak to people. You know, I think it's a terrible thing, but that's a New England thing. You know, we walk by people and won't even speak. That's part of the craziness, but that's another story. Anyway, I always grew weary. Oh boy, his power. As I talk about the victory over my strongholds. I'm talking to you from a position of strength forever when you hear me now. But I'm gonna have to tell you let you know the foundation of the past in order to tell you about the present and the future. So I talk from a position of victory over these strongholds. I grew weary of always being prepared to conquer an enemy who tries to attack the temple of one of my own loved ones, innocent victims, especially girls and elders. That's just the way, that's part of my gene and makeup. That's come from my daddy, my daddy's daddy, my daddy's 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 daddy, and the Father above, the Almighty Creator, Almighty Father. You know what I mean? El Shaddai, Elohim, Rock of Ages, a Lion of Judah, Seed of David, Yeshua, Jesus, Christ the Christo, The hope of glory. All right, that's enough. I'm not preaching to him, only talking what I know that I know. This is fun. Let me get to a point that this is going to connect what I just shared with you that I try to do. You grow weary of rejection as a man, as a father, as a black man, black father. But this is men, you know, because we put this on ourselves too. So I'm just only talking to all of us brothers. Some were born with silver spoons in their mouth, some wasn't. I know I wasn't, but I sure was born with a loving mother and a father and a disciplined environment. Sometimes we thought it was over-disciplined, and you know, there's shortcomings. Some, I told you in another segment, you'll see that some said, hey, we was oppressed because of our... All right, what you think? Back to the point. Weary of rejection, violations, hypocrisy, greed, shame, condemnation. From religious people, you know what I'm saying? From, you know, a lot of us judge our situation and our self-worth by religion, religious traditions and laws. This is deep stuff, y'all. Y'all got to get to know the truth. And I have that point here. So we grow weary, and then at the same time, we got to be fathers, try to be mates and husbands and boyfriends and good sons and daughters, everything along with everything else of trying to be a man and what the world standards. So that's what the key is, to know that what you're trying to prove and who you're trying to prove it to. I don't have to try to prove nothing, and I'm not trying to prove nothing to anyone. I'm jealous of no man or woman on earth. What a freeing feeling. Now, I'll tell you how to get there. You just get the material when the culture doctor shares it with you. I know this is good. So, my point being, ladies and gentlemen, fathers, sons, black, white, doesn't matter. Men, single father, I'm talking about, but specifically to fathers, to may they be young, old, doesn't matter. Men in general, this is all for all of us. Listen, y'all, there is hope. There is hope. That's what you got to hear. That there is hope. And the key to this is, ladies and gentlemen, men, brothers, forgive yourself, fathers, for your shortcomings. And we have them. None of them are perfect. Don't hide in jails and crack and innocent violence, because there's a time and place for a war, and there's peace. You know what I'm trying to tell you. I don't promote no violence, but you know what I'm saying. The priest of his house, he got to protect that bad boy. That's the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? That's first and foremost. Got to protect the kingdom. I don't play. Okay? Don't hide in jails. But many people do, because they can't meet up. A lot of men, this is deep, man. They'd rather go to jail than to try to handle the world and meet up, because of shame and condemnation. There is hope. Don't try to hide in the crack, innocent violence, and rage, and bitterness, and religion. I'm not talking about spirituality, but you know what I'm trying to tell you. Boy, the sun's coming down. Now I'm going to share something deep with you first I get up out of here. You know, a good friend of mine in California. Hello, welcome to what we consider is a news break into the series of this particular series we're doing on fathers and men. And this 4-part series, because by now all of the world, the country knows about the unspeakable loss of one of the finer police officers that serve our community. You know, we can't see into a person's heart or mind. However, a person gives off a certain spirit, and we call it discernment. Officer Kevin Ambrose, I saw him in action a number of times, and it was just the confidence but calm demeanor, because power is many cases is comes in temple of calmness. And I've always questioned those that have the most bravado in situations. Although they're tough people anyway. Being a police officer, law enforcement is a tough job. Don't trust me. I have a brother-in-law who's a police officer. I have nephews that are in corrections, and I know many of the men on the force. So, what I'm saying to you is, I can't express in words the cloud that is over our city and over our country, and in the loss of a police officer, a law enforcement officer. There's just something about, especially when you know that you can't, society would not operate. We have troubles and problems in life and community, and that's going to always be so as long as there's earth. But when you know that the value, and I speak from truth, the value of law enforcement and those that stand up for the innocent, the weaker, and it's just awesome. It's an awesome feeling to know that this has happened again in our city. And I'll tell you very briefly, that we're going to get into the show, because I had to interject this, is that planted in my memory was I was a little kid when Officer Scavini and Beauregard, Officer Alan Beauregard, they were killed on Stebbins Street where I grew up. And I remember trying to get home, and I was at Friendly's parking lot, and I mean the force of those officers responding to that tragic 1995, I was petrified, and I wanted to get home to check on my mother and family because I didn't know what had happened. It was like, a war zone. So that is still planted in my mind, and then just the dynamics of all of that, and it brings me back to that. And so I just wanted to offer my condolences and my regard, the high regard I have for law enforcement. Many of you all know that I was connected, in fact, just man to man with Chief Anthony Scott, which we do have the documentary that we put together on that. Will be coming out sooner or later on it. Just wanted to say that, and here's my, let you know the danger of the world where we're at. I just can't express what that really means. I mean, I'm not to judge any man, but I know that not only was Kevin Ambrose, as we do Father's Day, Officer Kevin Ambrose, he was a father, and that touched me more than anything. So here's what I said to D.A. Bennett and a few of the other officers that knows where I'm coming from. I do believe that one day the granddaughter of Officer Kevin Ambrose, who he loved so dearly, and his children, particularly his granddaughter, should get to know the young girl, that 1-year-old girl whose life he saved, and Charlene Mitchell, but the daughter, and this is just from Samuel, the culture doctor, and many people were astounded by the analogy that I came up with. I think that one day that the granddaughter of Officer Kevin Ambrose should meet the little Mitchell girl so that she can thank her for what her grandfather sacrificed his own life. And I agree, there's no greater gift, and this is in the word of the Most High. It's powerful. The no greater gift that a person can give is to lay down their life for someone else. And I just think that, like the man said, was, people want to touch and play around with it. But what happened was the man was murdered. And that's what happened. And the saddest thing, and I'll say it again, is the cloud over it is that it was another law enforcement officer. I won't go any deeper than that. I just want to honor the Officer Kevin Ambrose. And I think about some of the comments, like when he was mentioned about his friend said, "I'll be there in 2 minutes." See, and I've always believed and admired wanted to be a part of something bigger than me. So I admire, as long as it's positive, and And so anyway, I just want to say that. I don't want to get too deep because I wanted to get the rest of the show out, but I wanted to say that this burns in my memory because I was there and I was trying to get home when that 1985 killing of those two police officers on 7th Street. And let me say this. Here's another piece. Yeah, I got that out about that. I just think that would be one day she should be introduced to Officer Kevin Ambrose's grandchild and children to be told how Officer Kevin Ambrose saved her life. No greater gift. Now, very quickly, I had said after this Father's Day series, which is a 4-part series, that I'm going to take a break because I have an awful lot of assignment for my purpose to get done, and I do want to get quiet and get this done because it's a lot, and the more I put it off. I mean, I have to do this because I'm assigned as part of my assignment to speak these truths. Because I've had a few young men stop me the other day and tell me how much they enjoy the show, and eventually we'll pull that together to talk to the young men probably downtown somewhere, and I'm getting that'll be soon. But I need a rest. What I'm pointing out is I'm going to do a piece on which connects to fathers and men on domestic violence and violence. Now here's where I'm coming from. I can't do it right now, but I was saying to people, and I want you to catch this, and I'm telling you straight up as a Lion of Judah and the man that I am. So my Buffy, Yolanda, she was wise and she's married, and her husband wouldn't be violent towards her, but Buffy handle her own business. See, I trained the daughters and the sons. I trained the daughters. They know, not trained them, but they watch their father, and their father tell them the straight up truth. No man has a right. See, and you parent by not all of what you say, but what you do. I mean, I speak about defense and all that, but they've never seen me lay my hands on their mother or a woman or anybody. And I'm not violent. That's the last resort for me is, put my hands on somebody. But when it goes there, but anyway, Lord knows. You would only have, when I think about how the drama of this whole thing, and I read, and I know the in-laws and the family, and I offer my condolences to, the young lady, Charlene Mitchell, will survive, and I know the father is Mr. Cisco Zayas, an ex-man whose son-in-law, his son is tied to him, and he called me. So I know some of the dynamics, and that people have been having these problems for a long time with domestic violence and beating on people and beating on her and this and that. So here's my thing. You would only have once. And Raina tells them, men know that in New York, where they are, it's always been like this. You don't have but one time to do that with mine. In other words, I think I let them know, when I meet, even in all of the daughters of the kingdom, which is the young girls that I looked out for as they were growing up. They all live together, they stay together. I told you that's coming too, the information on that. But I don't play that. You couldn't do that. And I right the one time, and it been done, understood clearly. Do not, and it wouldn't even get there. I believe because they warn them, say you don't want to mess with, I'm daddy's. This is my father. And they introduce it, and I let the men know. And I'm saying, you're not, the Lord has got his hand over, he blesses you, you're not everywhere. But in the spirit, when I speak, I let them know. Now, like I said, Buffy and Fred, he's a good man. He's in law enforcement. I would never expect that out of him. But, Raina and the other girls are not married, they have boyfriends, blah, blah. But I make it clear. Set the record straight that no man is supposed to, none of that's supposed to happen to you. And if it do, you do what you got to do to get done. Then we'll roll. Because I have an army of some young brothers and young men. We all trained that way, and we all taught that way in our family. None of the boys in our family, here and there, have violate and beat up women. And I So anyway, I'm just perplexed about this whole thing, and it just makes me. There's a cloud over the valley. It's going to be a cloud, and we got to get in hand with this thing, and it relates to men and fathers, and and in most cases it is the men. There's somewhere they say, hey, come on, Sam. There's some women that they're jumping on men, but y'all know what time it is, and this thing is just out of hand. Mankind, certain things that just drive me up a wall, and I can't stand violence. It was senseless. So in conclusion, why don't you say something too in the last note in the this hurts too to know that final note at the beginning of this show before we brought this part to you. We lost a wonderful man who I just loved dearly, Morris, former City Councilor Morris Jones, and my condolences to the community, to his family. Morris Jones, that I can go back and laugh and think, because I've had 4 or 5 hours of my radio show that I have a documentation of Mo Jones and me on the radio. So that's part of our historical collection. Didn't know that, but yes, I have at least 5 hours of, I think, a few television shows, but at least 5 hours of interviews when I was on radio with Morris Jones. So that's a memory that'll be with us forever, and I think you could put that in the Smithsonian, because, hey, Mo is unique. So I just want to say that as I think of him, and I offer my condolences to the family. I'll get back to you, because there's so much more going here. I just want the rest of the show to go. Enjoy the program. I just had to interject because no greater gift. All right, here's the culture now. Let me leave you with this. I don't know what happens in a man's life. Some choose to do, some choose that. I'm not the judge. I just know what I know. I even thought about situations, how you would handle them. And I'll be honest with you. I've told the chief, and I've told him, like I said, I have family in law enforcement. D.A. Bennett, them know me. They got a tape of me saying this. Listen, sir, I could not be a police officer. Although I believe, and I'm with right, I do not like senseless violence. I understand this blue-collar crime, blah, blah, blah. It's the world, but I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm saying. The innocent, the crazy, mad, demonic stuff. The lady said the young man that murdered the officer was, he even said himself he was demonic, and in the court release and all that. But you know why I couldn't be one? Because I told him, this is just what it is. I come to the action, and I hear what's happened. I come to conquer. So that means, how I say this. That's all. That's enough. See how the Lord got that? I come to conquer. When I come like that, you something like that, and I hear about beating and violence and babies and all that, so I could be a man. I told him. I've said it. Now, the Lord didn't mean for that to happen, because He know me. I could be, man, I hunt you from one end of the earth to the other about hurting the babies. And innocent babies, there's things going on in this world. That's been part of my burden, of those strongholds that I think about it. But think about it. Just read the book when you get it. It is awesome. Hey, enjoy the rest of the program. Don't forget, no greater gift. Listen. The wonderful. We could do nothing without police officers. Man, what a thankless job. I mean, and one of the better ones. When I say better, I mean, you know what I'm saying. That man was a gentleman, but he was tough. I mean, an officer you got to be. There's no police officer, man or woman, or law enforcement in this world that are not capable, because you couldn't be on the force. I understand the game now. Trust me. Man. Enjoy the show, because I just get going, but that stuff, I'm just... No greater gift than a man or woman that lay down their life for someone else. And let the baby know that Officer Kevin Ambrose's daughter, this is deep, huh? The young Mitchell girl should one day know that Officer Kevin Ambrose, his memory will be with us forever, that she's alive today because of the little girl's grandfather, Officer Kevin Ambrose. This is from the Cultural Doctor. Stay with me. The best is yet to come. Enjoy the rest of the program. Hey, I love peace, hate violence and war, and I don't put up with a one iota. That's why the Lord protects me. Thank you, Lord. I love to be a part of, that's what sports, and I love sports, and and I'm brokenhearted about the Celtics too, but I'm with the Thunder. I'm going to let y'all know, the Thunder, Kevin Durant's my boy. He's a bad boy. So I've always loved, that's why I love sports and basketball and everything that has to do with a team. As long as it's some goodness, you know. That's why Daddy, you know, I look like Father's Day, he wouldn't let me join. You know, he watched me very closely about I couldn't join things. And I understand the concept of gangs, don't get me wrong now, because people just want to be, you know, a part of something, a family. That's what we got to work on, community. And we'll get back to you, but we're going to do a piece too on the question. Here's the question. Do y'all understand what it means about the prodigal church? I'll get back to you. Yeah, it's on. Culture Doctor's opening this thing wide open, but a little bit at a time. And I'm building relationships now. All right? Y'all take care. The best is yet to come. Got some beauty and power to share with the world. The anointing and the gifts and the fruit. Take care. What is the beauty in your culture? Look for that coming up soon. Everybody has a culture. Everybody has different connotations and ideas of what beauty is. That's coming down too. What is you consider from your culture to be beauty in your culture? It's the Culture Doctor. Take care.
I'm home, and I love it. I'm home, where I belong.
It's always nice to come home, but many Americans are at risk of foreclosure and losing their homes. Making home affordable from the U.S. government has already helped over 1 million struggling homeowners like these. The sooner you act, the better chance we can help you.
I'm home, where I belong.
And what is your name?
Veronica Cook.
Veronica Cook. So Veronica, today we're talking about the value of fathers and men in society. Now, did you have a father growing up in your life?
Yes, I did. He was from Grenada. Both of my parents are West Indian, and I grew up in New York. Mm-hmm. And he started me on my way. Both of them, my dad and my mom, stressed the value of education and that it didn't make you any better than anybody else. It just gave you more options. And I understood that. Unfortunately, he died when I was 16, and I was devastated because I was daddy's girl.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I wanted to hear that one. Yeah. So you was a daddy's girl.
Yeah. And
so
I was always going around with him. We'd go to the Bronx Zoo. That was my favorite place. And he'd sit on a bench, and I'd go over and do all the places, the snake house, the monkey house. Mm-hmm. And
sorry about that.
And then come back to where he was. As long as I checked in with him, he knew I was okay.
So what does that mean being, this is a very good point. What does it mean to be a daddy's girl? I mean,
I think from him I learned what to expect from a man.
Good
he
point.
He took care of the family. My mom didn't have to work. She chose to work so she could do things like buy my piano. I was playing piano. And her money was essentially hers to do what she wanted. My dad took care of all the bills.
Excuse me 1 second. We're just going to take a break right quick while this lady comes by. You were saying, you were talking about, I was asking you about being a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
So, explain again what you said that meant.
Well, I saw a strong man, and that was something I tried to find in a husband. Mm-hmm. I'm someone who was willing to take the responsibility for raising the family.
Hmm.
And I've heard it said for a male to see a man, to be a man, you've got to see a man.
Got to see a man.
But I was widowed when I have 3 boys, and I was widowed when the oldest one was 5.
Oh boy.
And I had 1 girl. And despite the fact that they did not have a father, except the man upstairs,
Yes.
they turned out pretty well, and I'm very proud of all of them. 2 are in education and 2 in law enforcement.
Oh really?
Yeah, my daughter just got her master's. So I have 3 of them with masters. And but again, I stress the same thing my dad stressed with me, the value of an education.
This is really, really good interview. Where are they in law enforcement in the area?
My son is a cop in Springfield, and my oldest boy repairs all computers at the police station. And he's been there 10 years.
That is wonderful.
My son, the one that's an officer, he just celebrated his 20th year.
On the Springfield Police Force. I just must add, now that you said that, what a tragedy that we had recently with the
officer that was
Officer
killed.
Kevin Ambrose.
My son, that's the computer operator, he came into their IT room that same morning. And he said, I spoke to him that morning, so it was really kind of odd and sad to see him get killed.
Really
Someone
sad.
he just talked to that morning.
Yeah, I have a couple of relatives on the force too, and in Connecticut and corrections. But it's just gives you an idea. What leads to the next question, which would give us a chance to talk about, as I said in part of this documentary, I never saw my father be violent to my mother. And so that has affected the way I see, life and treating women and
yes.
as a person, as a man. And you see a man, the only way you got to be a man is to see one.
Right.
And I think about this issue of violence and domestic violence.
And it's increasing, and I think part of it is because of the breakdown in the family.
Come on.
A lot of these youngsters don't have a man in the family that they can look up to, so they look up to the drug dealer because he's got money. He's got a lot of bling, 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 and that becomes their value. So they don't value education. They drop out of school. They don't have someone there to encourage them to strive to be better, to do better.
And to tell them that you're not going to do this,
Right.
I'm going to stand with you and make sure you don't do it.
I know my father, I have one brother, he passed away, but if he tried to do what they do today and wear his pants down on his behind, my father slapped the doo-doo out of him.
I came from the same spirit. He said, this is what's going to be.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. There's no
That's-
questions.
That's right.
This is deep.
And the kids today have no respect. They don't respect themselves, unfortunately. And so they don't respect authority in general.
But you think that, there's many studies been proven that most of the antisocial individuals, it's related. It's finally that not having that father,
Right.
the importance of the male, which is God created
That's right.
that position,
That's right.
and it does affect. But I think the system, in my opinion, what do you think? That by design, some of that is by design. You would hate to think
agree.
that.
Well, I hate to think
about
it, but
mankind.
I agree with it because the biggest, industry is building bigger and better prisons.
Yes,
The
yes,
houses. If you go through and check the black male population,
Yes.
they've either been to jail or just coming out of jail,
Yes.
or in jail currently. So they come out, they can't get a job. Nobody wants to hire an ex-con. So they go back to the same environment they left. And then so the recidivism rate is so high. And what as a society are we doing about that? Nothing but building more prisons.
Business, huh?
Yeah.
But I would say that I found that many of them are just angry, girls and boys, that they don't have that something about not having that balance.
Right.
And people in the system, I think even educational, doesn't really project and teach the value of men. And I think it's even more so in certain ethnic groups.
Exactly.
Am I right about
I
that?
would agree with that 100%.
So-
And I think the system is designed to keep us in place. It's just another form of racism, unfortunately. And I told my kids, every time something happens in your life, don't blame it on the fact
Don't
that
blame
you're
it.
black.
Right.
Look at what you contributed to that problem
That's right.
before you say it's because of my color. Okay?
Yes, yes.
But unfortunately, in many cases, it is because of your color.
Absolutely.
You know? And society, you add poverty to that. The educational system sucks. That's why my kids, they went to parochial school, at least in the 8th grade.
Yes.
And then they got the foundation. So that was out of the way. You know? So, and then they got to choose what high school. And only one continued on. The baby continued on to Cathedral High School. He's now principal of a junior high school in Weathersfield, Connecticut. And my daughter's a teacher. So they've all done well despite the obstacles that they've had to face. And I think that's because they were brought up in the church, and they have a certain value system, which a lot of kids today don't seem to have.
Well, you know something? There's something I'm going to get. I'm just the bottom line, man. I'm going to get deep as I'm looking at you and thinking about one of the things my mother, coming up in the South, and there's stereotypes of who we are as a people, that she told me her father told her when she was young that affected her personality. Now, I'm noticing that, as well as I am too, I'm a darker skinned person. You are. How important do you think it was that your father, that the father tells his daughter that you are beautiful to me? And my mother, I remember my mother telling me that her father, who's my grandfather Samuel Walker, told her at a time when dark skin was not considered as beauty, that he told her that you are beautiful. At that time in her life, and that carried what my mother throughout her life, who lived to be 88 years old. But so I just thought about that piece also, how important that is with a girl, with all of these stereotypes for a father.
Well, what was it? If you're white, this is in New York. If you're white, you're all right. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, stay back.
Right.
And so I grew up before the Black is Beautiful and the Black Power movement.
Right.
So I had all the stereotypes. But I went to a Catholic school, and we had all black nuns in Harlem. So they were our surrogate parents. So we had double. If we did something bad, we got caught and punished in school. They told your parents you got punished when you went home. So I see the values of West Indians are very similar to those of people in the South.
The West Indians. No joke.
Yeah. And so they molded your character. You didn't, if your mother told you to do something, you said later. No, you get up and do it now. She called you and say, wait a minute. Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah,
very strict values.
One of my better friends, I've had a number of friends that are Caribbean and the West Indian, and it tickles me because I agree with you. Don't be playing around. Children don't be disrespecting. It's just something
you grow up with, and I tried to instill it in my kids. Yet I saw in their peers differences of behavior that really astounded me. I had been sick a lot, and their friends would just come in and walk in my bedroom. And I'm thinking, hello, what's wrong with this picture? When I was a kid, if I went somewhere with my mom, I would sit down and I would not move until I was invited in to have a piece of a cake and some milk. I didn't go roaming through people's houses like the kids, when my kids' friends grew up. So it's very different. And we had to put titles. If it was not a pair, it's Miss So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so. You couldn't call somebody by their first name because mothers and fathers don't always agree, but you don't disagree in front of the children.
Absolutely.
You have to present the united front.
You preaching today. You're kicking it real live on Inside the Urban Bottom Line. I'm so glad to be that I was able to catch you as I was coming out, because this is the cap of the interview. This is wonderful, this information. So in our final statement, then, you would you say that one of the only ways, how do we do this? I mean, well, there's a lot of good men. And if you could say something to those men that, they don't have to have birth, there's people need adoption, there's churches, there's a lot of good men. What would your last statement be as we put this documentary out on fathers and the value of men in society. What would you say?
Well, a lot of these youngsters seek validation in gangs because it's total acceptance, but it's acceptance for doing wrong. So if they had a male, good men who are willing to mentor them, get involved with them, take one child, big brothers, take that child and show them the ropes of what it means to be a man, not how many babies you can have. That doesn't make you a man. It makes you a male. Or
Right.
sperm donor.
Right.
Okay.
You kicking it. You kicking it live. This is serious stuff here. This is the real deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had a friend here in Springfield, and we went out for a while, and he was a good role model for my kids. He was a good man. And so that they had some semblance of authority after their father died, and when their uncle couldn't get up here anymore, you know?
Well, in closing, I think that from a spiritual standpoint, it'd be important today for a man or a man particularly to be able to go tell one of these lost souls, lost children, that this is not you. And that's what I'm talking about. Look, this is not you. And if they could just get that, somebody could walk upon in the community or let them know, look, this is who you were created to be. This is what God set you are. What you're doing is not you.
That's you.
It's not
And
you.
you're not someone's definition of you.
Right.
So if someone says you're a bum or you're a lowlife, in your heart you know that God didn't make no junk.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
you have to rise up to the occasion and don't let other people's stereotypes determine your future.
Okay. We'll sign off selling your name. And once again, as we close out, this is Inside the Urban Bottom Line.
Okay, Veronica Cook.
Veronica, this is one of the best interviews
Thank you.
that I've done in a while.
Thank you.
Thank the Lord.
Thank you.
He did it.
Okay.
He put us in this path for this today to air this, to make this a part of our interview. This is wonderful.
And my dad, just so others on the side, my dad died when I was 16. I still miss him, and I'll be 68 in 2 weeks.
My gosh. Well, beautiful. It said that skin don't age when it's dark like that.
Oh.
There's life in that. Oh yeah. So I know I do too. My I don't how I handle this, and I'll be honest with you, is it wasn't a lot of emotional things that we were taught, but like I said, I saw my father be a man, so I witnessed it. However, I don't put dates on, the times both my mother and father went to be with the Lord. I don't put dates on there because it says the memories come faster. But I do, as I go forward in life, that was part of my motivation, was to honor them, the things I've done. I do miss him still to this day.
Yeah, I know.
I really do.
It's always going to leave a hole in your heart.
Always. And getting through that, that's what I'm doing. So I've got to keep moving to honor them.
Exactly.
And keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. That's correct.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, get face slapped in.
Or say yo and disrespect an elder
no.
and say yo to older people and don't open doors.
Was the editor of the Island newspaper in Grenada.
Oh, really?
But when he came here, because of what was going on in this country in the 20s, he was confined to being an elevator operator. But he instilled the love of learning in me. I remember when he used to give me spelling games, and he says, okay, Toot, that was my nickname, spell iguana. Iguana. And, things like that, always testing my knowledge and striving to be better. So I won my school spelling championship 3 years in a row.
That is wonderful.
But you have to have someone that inspires you to do better, to be better.
And another piece on that, I'm just sitting here thinking as you're talking about remembering both my parents went to be with the Lord, but remembering the authority in the male voice.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been said, this is something that I'm saying this on the shows, studies have proven that when a male child reaches a point in his life when the woman's voice becomes not an irritant to him, but after he starts getting to be a man, a young teenager, that the importance of hearing the power and the difference in the tone and the spirit of a man's voice is essential
That's right.
to what he feels he'll listen to.
Right.
That's another piece.
Well, when my husband died, his older brother used to come up from New York, and sometimes he brought military uniforms for the kids, and we went on hikes, and he and my husband were in the service, and I mean, they learned that kind of respect for authority. So it was just continuing, and his family was from the South.
Wow, this is excellent.
So, but I really think that these girls today, the things that they're doing to show that they're loved. Anybody say, I love you, here comes a baby.
True.
Okay?
True.
Because they long to hear that somebody that makes them feel good, makes them feel special.
Secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately we have a generation of babies raising babies.
Absolutely.
But I think it's essential to have a man in the home, a good man now. I'm not saying any man.
Right.
Because you can have a man in the house and the household is more disruptive because of his presence.
Absolutely.
So
Hey,
if you
y'all.
have a godly man there.
Had a quick flash, had a rhema. And through every tragedy in life, as we grow and understand the value of understanding who you are and the power that you're rolling with and what life is, who you really are, it comes out. For times like these is when it's supposed to be released. So here's the bottom line. I've taped and recorded a piece called The Covering. When it's ready, I'll let you know. It is a piece for all those that are out there put their lives on the line, law enforcement, first responders, those that are standing up for the innocent or the weaker in our society. And this is from the culture Dr. Samuel Bass to you. And it is related to the things that are going on in this world that I've got a chance to see and witness. The piece that I've recorded is called The Covering. And I will let you know when it's ready. That is for all those that are out there on the battlefield in any area of standing up for what is right. Not that we're righteous people, and what's right, but only one that is perfect. But I want you to, this is my gift, the gift of the Almighty from me to you. It's called The Covering. It'll be ready and available to the whole world, and those that want to hear and be blessed by a recording called The Covering. And that's my gift. This is what I've been motivated to do by the power that's within me. Take care. And stay tuned and wait for The Covering. I'll let you know when it's available to hear this.
Oh,
Because I was supposed to be thinking about what I was saying.
All righty. What is your name?
Rosalie Sutton.
Rosalie Sutton. I always enjoy talking to you, and today I'm just doing this documentary that's going to be airing is on fathers. If you talk about your father, the lessons you learned, and men and where we are today. First, tell me something about what you learned from your father, and if you did have a father in your life.
I had two fathers, in fact. I had a natural father who didn't raise me, but I still was in contact with him, and he was sick for most of his life. And, of course, a lot of my traits I got from him. And then I was blessed at the age of about maybe 5 to have a stepfather. And he was basically the father that guided the family. He was a Christian man. He believed in education. And he also believed that you had to work, as my mother did, to achieve anything. Nothing would be given to you. And they were Christians until they died. And I'm thankful for that because they brought me back. I always could go back to the teachings of my youth.
Where did you grow up?
Springfield, Massachusetts.
You born
raised, bred, lived in Winchester Square all of my life.
Was your stepfather from the South or from Springfield?
No, he was from Jamaica.
Oh, Jamaica.
Yeah, he was from Jamaica.
You had the Caribbean Foundation.
Yes.
Jamaica.
And I think in my spirit I was born Caribbean, but they just landed me in the United States, so
Hello.
we were in sync, yeah.
The root of respect.
Yes.
Respect. Well, today, one of the dynamics today is that many of these children, these homes, don't have fathers, and it's obvious that that's a problem. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree. I observe when I go to church. I go for many reasons. One of the things I like to observe families, and I observe men with their children, and especially the male children, and how they bond and how they sort of nurture their children. And that's lacking in a lot of families because they don't have that male role model. They don't have them to take them either to sports or to church or other events. And if they don't have mentors who play that role, I think the young black men just don't know really what direction they need to be going in, because it can't be like the mothers, and they don't need to be like the street people. So they really don't know if they don't get a mentor or some foundation in church or something, or a family member, and they're just kind of out there and they're kind of lost.
Well, do you think that the system, don't want to think this way, but as the previous guest said, do you think the system by design has created this environment by design that the men are not in the homes, or is that an excuse?
I don't know. I never really thought about it, but I know from the beginning, during slavery times, the men and the women were separated. So to say that the system, did set it up, and I guess we've just allowed ourselves to go along with the system that was set up way back from when we came over, and they took us, separated us off the ships.
You think that definitely has an effect on young girls too? Not having a father?
Yeah, because a lot of times they're looking for love. The love they didn't get for their father, they're looking for it in another man or maybe an older man, and it's just not the same.
Tough love, real love.
Yeah.
The real love that's concerned about you.
Absolutely.
And looking out for your best interests.
Right, and not their best interests.
Right. That's a good one. So as a person that's had the benefit, what would be something that you would say to men today? There's a lot of great men, good men, don't get me wrong, but however, there is the missing of men in our society. What would you say to the men that are listening to this show today?
Well, I guess just if you plant the seed, water it.
If you plant the seed, water it.
And help it to grow.
All right, one more question. Do you think, is there any excuse? It says sometimes people say that, well, the mothers and the mate drive men from their home. Because I hear a lot of men today, a lot of because of the design of the welfare system and economics, that it's better for them not to be in the home. What do you think of that?
Well, it could be, but there's more ways to skin a cat. Just because you're not sleeping there doesn't mean that you can't be a part of that child's life or a part of the woman's life.
Wow, that's the bottom line. That wasn't a whole lot, but that was a lot of what you just said. So there's more ways to skin a cat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I understand the financial piece because I worked with the financial system. But if you really and truly love your family, your friends, then you'll work it.
And there's nothing can stop you.
That's right.
If you truly love them. That's powerful. Thanks again. This is
welcome.
Wonderful. That closes the cap on it. There's no excuse if you love them.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Bless you now. Thank you so much.